The Common Application opens August 1st, and you're each a part of the first class applying to college post-affirmative action. What impact does the Supreme Court decision have on your personal college application process?
College applications have been really stressing me out for a while, and this has just really been sort of like the nail in the coffin for me. And I'm just really freaked out in general because the fact that I'm about to apply to college and this has like just happened is made everything so much worse. And I'm just really stressed about how it's going to reflect on me in the future.
For me, I had to learn a little bit more after like what affirmative action is, because it's not something that's really like brought up in my schools and stuff. Because I live in Florida, so we're already like around the not so good parts about education right now, anyway. So hearing about affirmative action, I was right with my mom when we heard it in Miami. And we were just looking at each other like, oh, should I change my plan to go out of state now? Because a lot of more Florida might just say, oh, we only have like 2 people of color here. We're good. We don't need anybody else. But yeah, I had to really look up what affirmative action was. And then when I finally learned what it was, I was kind of shocked. I was like, wait, this is actually like a true thing? Now why is it getting taken away right now? Doesn't make any sense to me.
I think I was scared at first because colleges have always been unable to meet a racial quota, but now they can't even be race conscious. But we still have things like legacies and stuff like that, but that is weighed differently depending on where I apply to go to college. But I was nervous at first, and then after talking with some admissions people, it depends on, again, what college I decide to go to, because a lot of colleges still have a holistic review process to where they're going to look at your high school and see your socioeconomic level, what you had available to you, and then compare that with people who had more opportunities. So I think it started off as like, oh no, this is going to be a huge thing. And then it's kind of going down to this may be a huge thing at some schools and may not at other schools.
What type of high schools do each of you go to as far as public or private, and the demographics and the size of the high school?
I go to a public high school, majority Black high school, majority African American public high school. I think we have about 1,300 students. I'm not sure though.
I go to a public high school, majority is Black. Like I think there's about like 2,000 kids in our school because we fit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, usually our highest class is freshmen, and every year it gets smaller. But especially for 2024, my class, we're like the largest senior class since COVID. So yeah, so it's interesting seeing a lot of people around, and you're all wondering like, oh, what college do I go to? Is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect me? And our guidance counselors aren't really talking about it. They're just like, okay, you guys, make your list for college, make sure you got everything done. And they haven't really emailed us or anything about it. So we're all kind of like, oh, I guess we'll just see when school starts in a few weeks.
Have any of your schools said anything about it or offered any resources? I know it's summer break.
Nope.
No.
The last email I got from my guidance counselor, because she's currently traveling for the summer, was end of May, early June. So I haven't heard anything about anything from my school.
And Nana, what kind of high school do you go to?
I go to a large public high school as well. I think there's like a couple thousand students. And I would say it's pretty diverse. We're like majority white, but we also have a lot of Hispanic students, Vietnamese students, and East African students. It's like another really large population.
Okay. I'm in the same boat as y'all. I went to a Joe Schmo public school from K through 12, the same district. And in kindergarten, it was mostly white. But by the time I graduated from high school, it was mostly Black. So a complete flip in the demographics. And I think I had maybe 300 students in my graduating class. So I can relate to what some of you said. I don't know about a 2,000 student class body, but alas. So you're applying to colleges this fall. What influence does the Supreme Court decision on affirmative action have as you prepare your application materials and decide which schools to apply to?
I know I was thinking of putting my bid out there and trying to apply to some higher level institutions. Like I said earlier, those higher level institutions a lot of times have big legacy populations, and we can't have affirmative action in place. We can't have race-based admissions, but we still have legacy admissions, which is a large percent of those populations. And a lot of times those schools also, you have to hope that they do a holistic review because you're up against people who have taken 20 AP classes when you've only had access to 3. And so I think it makes me want to apply to less rigorous academic institutions to where they're going to look at all the factors.
Your high school offers 3 AP classes total?
Yes, we offer 3 AP classes total.
I think for me, not just affirmative action, but it kind of changed my viewpoint on applying out of state. I just thought, okay, since I'm already in Florida, Florida should know how much demographic is going to like Florida State, University of Tampa, University of like whatever. So
Yeah.
I thought it would give me like a better chance of just applying in-state because they already have all my information. They know where I am. My school doesn't have AP classes. We use a different program called the Cambridge program. Like we take exams from Britain and they get shipped to our school. We take them and then they ship back, then we get scores and then we can transfer them for college credit. And we also have dual enrollment. So we don't have AP, but we have other stuff. But I'm afraid that if I apply out of state, they're just gonna see this random person's name on like a list and say, I don't know who she is. I've never heard of her. So I might as well just apply in state.
I'm in the same boat where, well, my school offers like a pretty wide range of AP classes, but now I'm sort of concerned about like, because I wanted to apply to some more selective institutions. And now I'm thinking, well, do I have a chance now anyway? And it's making me consider as well if I should like sort of consider more in-state options because they already know me and they already know that I'm Black and that doesn't really change anything.
I have a question. I just want to know what y'all think. Because like I feel like this is like a really interesting like viewpoint on like affirmative action. What do y'all think about like the legacies and stuff that they didn't take those away? But they took
I
away race
think
consciousness.
it's racist. That's what I think it is. Yeah, because legacies are mostly white, and it's like, oh yeah, that's fine. But affirmative action, no, we can't have that anymore. It just really hurts. It's so like very blatantly prejudiced. They didn't even try to hide it. That's the thing that really makes me upset.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, yeah, it's just insane.
I feel like they had a whole plan. Let's take away affirmative action and student loans. What's gonna happen when I can't get into college and I have a bunch of student debt loans? How am I supposed to pay those back? Like, even though I'll probably get like scholarships and stuff, I feel like the whole just like they kind of just screwed over everybody who's applying to college and going to college now. Like legacies are still gonna affect everybody, but not us. I just think it's like they just want to screw everybody over right before colleges start. And they're just like, oh, you guys should just do a normal job, not go to college. That's basically what I felt like when I heard it.
The SCOTUS decision does not limit what applicants can discuss in their essays. So race is fair game, passions, hobbies, etc. And that's where a lot of personality can come through, where you kind of introduce yourself to the admissions committee. I know it's early, but have you thought about what you're going to write in your personal statement?
I don't think that I'll include race in my essay because the original purpose of affirmative action was to have race conscious admissions so that you could combat that socioeconomic barriers that a lot of minorities were facing. And so I feel like I wouldn't include race explicitly, but I would talk about my background and why my application may look different than other people's applications, but why I still bring something to the table.
So you're not going to indicate your race at all, but talk about your childhood upbringing without mentioning race?
The whole purpose of race-based admissions was to focus on socioeconomics. And so I rather focus on socioeconomics than my race, because I think I bring more to the table with that.
Okay.
For me, I personally haven't looked at any of my like college statements yet. I'm still getting used to like trying to like, oh, I have to apply in a couple months. Like I'm still like kind of, yeah. So, but when I like imagine myself writing those, I don't really think I would include my race in it. I would say, yeah, I'm a daughter of 2 Haitian immigrants. My family immigrated from Haiti, stuff like that. But I wouldn't like purposely say, oh yeah, I'm a Black African American girl who's applying to Florida State University for political science. That's not like, I wouldn't like blatantly say it. I would kind of like sprinkle stuff in so they can kind of like infer that, hopefully. But usually when I write any like personal statements, I try to keep my race out of it. I just want you to know what I can do, what I have done, what you can imagine me doing, and my race really shouldn't be a part of that. If it is, then it is. I can't control that. But I'd like for the admission team to just like not look at my race.
Okay.
I've been like drafting my college essays for a while, trying to like figure out what I want to write about. And like initially I was going to focus on like being the child of Ghanaian immigrants, because that affects like a lot of who I am and like how I think and the things that I do. But now I'm sort of scared that colleges are going to be getting like a flood of essays about like people's race. Now I'm just going to be like one in like a sea of however many. And so now that's kind of maybe like could like scrap all of what I've been writing and consider what else I can write about that still like relates to me and really shows the kind of person that I am.
So you're thinking to maybe stand out more, not telling a story that involves your heritage may be the way to go.
I want to involve my heritage somehow, but I'm scared that that's not going to really make me stand out when everybody is probably going to be writing about their race, to just sort of get it in there to sort of combat
Right.
part of action's been overruled.
Yeah. It is the go-to workaround at this point. I remember when I was applying to colleges, I wrote my personal statement about being this basketball star in high school, only to tear my ACL going into junior year, the main college recruitment year. And it was a real identity crisis. Who was I without basketball or without playing in college? And over the course of the 8 months of my recovery, I answered that question and later put it in my college application essay the following fall ahead of applying to colleges. So these stories can be very personal. I didn't think I would be writing about basketball in my college essay, but it worked out well. I mean, I applied to 15 schools and I got into 13. So show some personality, be yourself, write whatever you want in the essay. At the time, there was another area to indicate, you know, gender, race, all of that. And I imagine that would look a lot different this year in light of the decision. So with all of this in mind, race was only one consideration and as a part of a larger application. What are the other application materials, the other extracurricular activities, and everything else that will be rounding out your application that you want to speak more loudly than, oh, I happen to be a Black woman?
Definitely my like extracurriculars, both inside and out of school, and hopefully my recommendation letters. I have some teachers in mind that I really hope that they like, because they're my favorites, and I want them to like really write about me and show the colleges who I am, like just as like a student, but just as a person as well.
Nice. What are the extracurricular activities you're involved in?
Well, I did student government last year. I'm in several honor societies, and my mother is part of the Ebony Society here in Atlanta. And so we volunteer at events. Like for Juneteenth, I volunteered sort of like getting everything together to make sure that the festival went really smoothly, and event planning was actually really fun.
Nice.
For me, I hope that not only my extracurriculars and my grades speak along with my application, but I also hope that my commitment to people, I hope they could see that through my essay. I have like a very strong commitment to volunteerism and to helping people. And I feel like that's something that's really strong. They can implement that in a commitment to equality. So, which is something which kind of goes hand in hand with the band. Now that we don't have that, but I still feel like as an individual, I have that.
What type of volunteer work do you do?
I do a lot of volunteer work. I work with I do like, it's so varied, but I mean some of the stuff I do, like working with the homeless. It's so hard to remember everything. Street cleanup. I especially like working with individuals. I feel like that's very important to do. to see like the person in them, because a lot of times they're dehumanized and people don't pay attention to them or take time to just talk to them, because you can hand somebody food, but you also need to take time to talk to them.
Nice, Amber.
I think for me, colleges should look more into like what we do outside of school, because especially for my high school, if you're in Cambridge, you're automatically in dual enrollment, or if you're in dual enrollment, you're automatically in Cambridge, you're automatically in like honors class. It's kind of like a standard, like you're in one, so you have to be in the other, or like you're in student government, like I am. That means you're also in yearbook, or you're also in like band and like stuff like that. So it's kind of like all mixed in together. But
I
for
was
me,
in band.
yeah, I'm not in band. I applaud everybody who can do that. That's just not me. I'm more of a yearbook, journalism person. So
Nice.
I give good praise. But for me, outside of school, I intern at a courthouse. At the like my county's courthouse every summer. Around COVID, I started getting more into like advocacy work. So I started looking into like March for Our Lives, Students Demand Action, stuff like that. Mostly when I'm not at school, I'm usually just keeping up with everything political compared to like my other friends who just like go party. I'm not saying that not going to parties is bad, but I'm just like for college admissions is like, oh, I want to go into political science. Okay, this person likes to go into politics. They research politics all the time. They spend their free time doing all this stuff. So I feel like showing what colleges, what you do outside of just being an honor student should really make it work better than just my race.
And I think after you see so many different report cards, all of the standardized testing, they all just start blending together.
Yeah.
Like, all students have 3.8 and 1250 in this particular cohort. How do you then differentiate them?
Like between my friends, like we have one who's a valedictorian, one who's senior class president, one who's like straight A's, and I'm like, we're all the same. Like we're all the same person, basically, just different names.
And so to differentiate it, of course, the extracurriculars and just the personality that comes through in the essays and everything else that you'll be submitting, the letters of recommendation, like Nana said, is a huge part of the application, because the grades and the test scores only tell you so much, and you can have 3,000 candidates with the same hard metrics. So the additional information is super helpful. Is there anything about this college application process that you're excited about? Pretty stressful, huh? Nothing.
I think I'm somewhat excited for the essay and to give my personal viewpoint and to write that up and draft that up and just to tell them about myself and see where that takes me. Because I feel like at the end of the day, whatever college chooses to accept me, they liked the essay, they liked who I am, and so that's where I belong because they liked it. And whichever ones didn't, that's not where I belong. So that's like exciting to see where the fit is.
Nice.
I think for me, it'll be like actually exploring the colleges, like going on college tours and stuff like that. Because all this summer, me and my mom had just been researching colleges. Okay, what's the best political science school in Florida? What's the best like demographic, stuff like that. So I know between August until like maybe October, November, like every couple of weeks we'll go on college tours. So I think the best part is like when I actually step on foot, get off the car, and like, can I imagine myself being here for the next 2 or 4 years? Do I see myself living in a dorms or at an apartment or stuff like that? I think it's just like the freedom I'll feel once I actually get there. It'll be a lot. It'll be worth all this trouble.
I'm trying to think, and honestly, this whole thing is giving me a lot of gray hairs. I really hate it, but I also have enjoyed going on college tours. I like walking around. I like being able to like email students of like the institutions and asking them like, what's your favorite class? What's your favorite like tradition? What do you think about dorms and the food there? And like, what's the program like? I've liked talking to people a lot.
Good. That's also one of my favorite parts. I was a tour guide in college, so I would be one of the guides when you go on a tour, come on my tour, and I show you around campus. And just hearing y'all talk about it has made me a little nostalgic for it. It was such a fun time in my life. So moving right along, this is effectively the new normal for the foreseeable future. What have some of your friends been saying about it? Do they feel similarly as you do about applying to colleges this fall?
Well, the majority of my friends haven't spoken about it at all. They would prefer just to like not even talk about college applications, even though I'm constantly like, guys, we have to do this. But it freaks them out, so they don't talk about it. But like a select group of my friends, the second you heard about the decision, you were all in like a group chat and you were just yelling and screaming and feeling like this is so horrendous. Why would they do this? Because I mean, it's incredibly stressful and it sucks. And the fact that like they did this right as we're all about to apply to college, it all just like adds onto that stress, and it's dawned on all of us that like, oh, we're gonna have to like work sort of kind of twice as hard now to accomplish something. And it sort of feels like now we have to do more to get into college.
Usually within my friend group, I'm the one that usually sends out all the texts like, "Hey guys, did you see what the Supreme Court decision was?" So I started sending a lot of my videos. So I started sending a lot of my friends like crash course videos, be like, "Okay, this is what it is under 5 minutes. Okay, let's discuss. Oh, now you understand? Okay." So they just took that away. What's your thoughts? Um, but I think once school actually starts and we actually start having like all those senior meetings being like, "Okay, you guys have to start applying," I can just feel like all the tension in the air is just gonna hit all of us at once. And we're like, "Oh my God, wait, affirmative action is kind of gone now. We kind of have to work twice as hard, like you said. And we have to work around all the stuff that we planned up for." So I'm not hearing like really any opinions right now because I think we're still trying to enjoy our last few weeks of summer.
Amen.
But I think
Yes.
once August starts and everything, we're all gonna have like a big like slap in the face.
Mm.
I think for me and my friends personally, we have just been trying to do as we would have before, because that is all we can do and do the most. If you have 3 AP classes, take 3. If you have 16, take 16, you know? And basically just trying our hardest to do what we can do. And even if the system isn't fighting for us, we can still fight for ourselves and we can still get into the best college possible.
May I ask where you're applying? Is this confidential?
As of right now, I'm going to apply to UVA and to George Mason.
My top school out of state was George Mason, but I'm still holding on hope. I'm still holding on hope because I want to come back. But for in-state, I'm probably gonna go to Florida State University, University of North Florida, or just University of South Florida, because they're all kind of around Tallahassee, Tampa. But if George Mason wants to give me a full ride, I'll fully take it.
We are not upset at full
I'll
ride.
fully take it. I'll take the money. Just send me there for 4 years. I'll be good.
I have a college list, but I have yet to narrow it down. Probably for like in-state right now, it would be Agnes, Scott, and UGA.
Very, very good. Well, I look forward to all the things you three are gonna go do. And I leave you with what my mom once told me when I was applying to colleges, which is you are enough just as you are. Just as you are, Amber, just as you are, Bruna, and just as you are, Nana.